Hi, this is Gerard Braud in New Orleans, outside the world-famous Superdome, home of the 2013 Super Bowl. Tonight I'm going to pose a question for all spokespeople, for all writers and communicators and PR people. The question is, what would be your Super Bowl victory? For me, it was getting a front-page headline quote. Yep, not just any quote. It needed to be on the front page, and it needed to be a headline. And I've got the evidence to prove that out of 1 million people, I can make myself the front page quote, and I can teach you to do the same thing. So I'm going to give you the backstory about this quote, and at the same time, I'm also going to give you a free online 29-day audio download so you can learn the lessons and secrets to doing successful interviews with the media. Well, here's the story about the quote. Back in 2010, the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl. You may remember that the storyline was all about how Hurricane Katrina had devastated the city, and how the Saints, with quarterback Drew Brees and coach Sean Payton, had resurrected not only our team, but the heart, soul, and spirit of the city. That meant it was a compare and contrast story. And after the victory, we were going to have a parade. Well, every city has a parade. It's just ours would be better because we have Mardi Gras. We have Mardi Gras floats, and we know how to behave in a crowd. 1 million people came into the city. So on the way into town, I started working on my quote. It needed to be a compare and contrast quote. The first version was something like this. We've suffered the American nightmare. It's our turn to live the American dream. Not a bad quote, but not a perfect quote. Anytime you're planning a quote in a story, it is important that you parse your words. So, we've suffered the American nightmare isn't a perfect quote because suffering implies kind of a woe is me attitude. We needed a better word. The word endure is a better word. We've endured the American nightmare. It implies an uplifting spirit and a recovery from the suffering. Next, the phrase, it's our time to live the American dream, isn't perfect. The phrase was, it's our turn to live the American dream. It wasn't perfect. The better phrase is, it's our time to live the American dream. Put it all together and the quote was going to be this. We've endured the American nightmare. It's our time to live the American dream. Once I've got the quote, the next secret is to find a reporter and get it to the reporter. I stumbled across John. John is about 6'5", tall, skinny like a string bean. He wore a blue and white seersucker stripe suit, white shoes, starched white shirt, and a hand-tied yellow bow tie. Silver hair. I struck up a conversation with him. In the course of the conversation, I dropped in the quote. You know, it's amazing, John. All these people here tonight, and to think that we've endured the American nightmare, and now it's our time to live the American dream. John lit up, grabbed his pen, and started writing. Now, I believe writers get what I call a writer's high. It's very similar to the endorphin release that runners get when they get that runner's high. John got that high. The more he scribbled, the more I realized what I always teach, you have to repeat your quote. So I said, yeah, John, just think. We have endured the American nightmare. It's our time to live the American dream. When we finished talking, I said, John, would you do me a favor? People always get my name wrong. It's a weird pronunciation and a weird spelling. Would you make sure you get it right if you use it in the paper? It's Gerard, G-E-R-A-R-D, Braud, B-R-A-U-D. And besides, I have a Google alert. It would be fun if you use it and I would know about it. Well, he said, I'm not the main reporter on this story. I'm writing a blog. I was a little disappointed. 10:30 that night, the Google alert came in. John had passed the quote on to this guy who was writing the lead story. And now I was now the lead quote in the lead story, but it was still online. The next morning, I went out to get my newspaper, and here it was. It also happened to be my birthday, February 10th. And there's the quote. We've endured the American nightmare. It's our time to live the American dream. Our front page quote. Logic says Drew Brees and Sean Payton should have been the guys quoted in here. But it was going to be my Super Bowl victory. They already had their rings, and I wasn't getting the ring for this. I was just getting a charge because I can practice what I preach, and now I can teach you to do the same thing. So as we go into Super Bowl season and Super Bowl week, from here in New Orleans, I want you to have a free 29-day audio download of the best 29 tips that I have. It's much of the same content that I have in my book, Don't Talk to the Media Until, 29 Secrets You Need to Know Before You Open Your Mouth to a Reporter. Every day for 29 days, you'll get an email and a blog and lots of good stuff. I want to know how you do. I want to know the day that you achieve your victory and you have your front page quote. In New Orleans, I'm Gerard Braud.